Hello folks, thanks for watching. This month's topic is going to be getting to know your public safety dispatcher. And today we have a special guest, Supervisor John Spence. John, thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure, Rob.
Pleasure to have you. Today we're going to be talking about what does a dispatcher go through in their everyday performance. I mean, we could talk for a long time. They do everything, but we're going to talk, a little bit and get your perspective of what a dispatcher does. And I know you've been doing it for a long time. So, you want to just tell the folks of Merrimack a little about yourself, John?
Well, I've been with the Merrimack Police Department since 1991. I broke away from Merrimack in '97, went to work in Hollis, and in 2001 I was asked to come back by then Chief William Mulligan, and I did. I'm glad I did. I realized how much I missed Merrimack at that point, and came back and served as an assistant supervisor along with Michelle Dudash, and it's been quite an experience. It's a fun position. It's a challenging position. The thing that's nice about it is I'm blessed with some real good dispatchers. I've often said outside the police station when we get together at some of the functions that the dispatcher groups get together at, I put my people up against anybody in New Hampshire. That's how proud I am of them, and I know how good they are at what they do. And the town of Merrimack is blessed to have qualified dispatchers that can do the job the way these people do it.
I agree, John. Same thing. I think the quality of people that we have, makes the whole PD in a whole be that much better.
Well, it's dispatching is very difficult. We find sometimes when we go through the hiring process, you're either a dispatcher or you're not, and it's for some people and it's not for some people because of what's involved. It's a very stressing job. We work rotating shifts just like the police officers. Our people rotate every 12 weeks. Just like the officers. And like I say, the stress from start to finish. Dispatch is where everything starts. Yeah. Everything starts in dispatch, no matter what it is. I mean, it could be the simplest barking dog complaint to a multi-motor vehicle accident with serious injury, house fires, EMS calls. Everything starts in dispatch. We take the original call. We make the decision on what gets sent for responding personnel and apparatus, and then we're along for the ride from that point on, because we see it right through to the very end, right through until officers and or firefighters or EMS people clear the scene.
So, can you tell the folks why did you become a public safety dispatcher?
Well, it's kind of a funny thing. I've been fortunate that I've had two careers. I've worked in the broadcasting business, but I've also worked in public safety communications. And I was afforded the opportunity back in the 70s. I was working for a local radio station down there, and I decided, well, maybe I need to look beyond the broadcasting business because, I needed to. I had a family, and pay wasn't what we all would have liked it to be, and I decided, well, I got to do something. A friend of mine told me about Nashville Fire, and I applied at Nashville Fire, and I got hired, and I was there for 4 years. Well, I ended up back in the broadcasting business after 4 years, and it was a personal choice that I made. I found out that being a family man, it was kind of difficult with 3 small children and rotating shifts and working Christmas and that sort of thing, that I needed to take a look at that. And as much as I really enjoyed doing what I was doing, I ended up back in broadcasting with no regrets. I had a real good career. But in 1991, the opportunity came about that the radio station I was employed at was going up for sale. The broadcasting business at that point was starting to change a lot, and I heard about an opening at Merrimack PD, and I jumped at the opportunity, and I was very fortunate that I got hired there.
And we're glad you came back.
Well, thank you.
John.
I was there from 91 to 97, like I say, and went over to Hollis, and I came back here, and I'm grateful for the opportunity and thankful to then Chief Bill Mulligan, because I came back. It was like coming back to family, and it was like coming home.
Well, we're glad you did.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Can you tell the folks what kind of skills or mindset that if somebody wants to be a dispatcher, what do they need?
Tough skin.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, tough skin. You're dealing with so many different issues, and like I say, a simple barking dog to people screaming on the phone, domestic violence. It all starts with us. We hear it all.
And then you have the police or the fire department calling.
Oh yeah, yeah, and
asking for assistance.
Oh sure, and we're there for them as well as we are the police. Even though we're housed in the police station, we provide a service to the fire department and to EMS, and so it's a tough skin. But the biggest thing that is so important in this particular field is the ability to be able to multitask. And you say, well, we hear that all the time. This is multitasking.
You have to
over the edge.
demonstrate those skills as a dispatcher.
Yeah.
I agree. I spent many hours up there, and like you said earlier, it's definitely a position not made for everybody.
Well, it is funny. The officers will come into the communications center, and they'll stand there and they'll shake their head, and they'll say, "I couldn't do this."
Yeah.
And we've heard that so many times over the years, and you probably have said it yourself. I couldn't do this, and it takes a special person to be a public safety communications specialist, as we are called today.
Yeah, and you are, and you should. You deserve that title and that respect as a professional, because we as police officers rely on dispatchers as our lifeline,
right?
Just as normal citizens do. And if you're not competent in your position as a professional, then our lives and the citizens' lives are at risk. So
the other thing too, Rob, is you've got to remain calm, and you've got to calm that person down on the phone. A lot of times, if it's got anything that centers on domestic violence, the caller's very upset, and they may have been assaulted, they may be hurt. You've got to get all that information out of them.
And it's not easy.
No.
I know from my standpoint, when you're trying to deal with these people face to face, it's not easy. I could imagine how it is over a telephone line.
And sometimes the caller may have been assaulted but doesn't want to admit it for fear that the other person that's involved possibly be arrested. They want you to help them.
Yeah.
They're reaching out to you, but you've really got to try to pull the information out of them for the officers that are responding, because we don't know what they're getting into. The key question for a dispatcher, for especially domestic violence, is, are there any weapons? I mean, that's one of the first things we say. Are there any weapons? Is the either one of you have you been drinking? If there's any alcohol and or substance usage going on.
And we as first responders
need to know that.
We definitely appreciate that, and because that's the last thing we want to do is come into a domestic situation not knowing if there's any weapons or access to weapons anyways, and so that is a big
those are
concern
the toughest calls. Those are the toughest calls for us. There's other type calls that can be difficult to deal with, but the domestic violence calls, they kind of get you going. get the adrenaline going for us sitting at a console.
Yeah, and I can imagine, me responding. At least I'm doing something physical, and I'm going to be engaging in a situation. Whereas a dispatcher, I can understand, the anxiety of, not being able to extract that information that you need to give to us from the, the victim who's hysterical.
Well, we're trying to
and,
get the call,
screaming. And,
right, exactly. And we're trying to get the call under control, and the officers responding are asking questions on the radio.
So
and
multitasking.
That's it, because we've got the phone going here and we've got the radio going here, and we're sitting at a console and we have that ability to be able to communicate with both, obviously. But the point is this: you're trying to control the call and you're trying to provide information to the police officer at the same time. It's very elevated over here, and you try not to be elevated to the officer, so you're clear, you're concise, and he can understand what you're saying.
And then if you become aware of, possible injuries to, a victim or whatever, now you have to get another agency involved.
EMS rolling, yeah.
So now you have to deal with, the victim, the police. Now you have the, fire and ambulance service coming. I would say that's multitasking.
And somebody comes up to the window and wants to know how to get to
the outlets, the Merrimack
outlets.
Premium outlets.
Oh yeah, that's a constant.
All right. So while we're talking about that, what other agencies does the Merrimack dispatchers provide services to?
Well, in town here, we cover DPW after hours. We take phone calls for them, and we'll make the necessary contacts if we need to bring somebody out, especially during the snow season.
So in a storm or something.
Yeah, and notify, their supervisor, the road conditions, what they are, and pass that information on so that they can get the roads treated. And of course, a lot of that school situations with cancellations depends on just how quick they are able to get the roads treated and that sort of thing. So we work with DPW. We work hand in hand with the water department, call them out as needed. And we also we have a good working relationship with the state police, Troop B, and always have. And so we work.
Because you dispatch for accidents on the highway.
Yes, so we support them, they support us. We have a great relationship with the state police. I did mention the DPW and the water department, but also public service. We had a bad motor vehicle accident here just the other day, and we knew what we had. We knew the power was out. We just didn't know to what extreme, with wires down or if a transformer was affected or what, but we knew we had power out. So the initial call was to PSNH to make them aware that we do have a power outage in the northern part of Merrimack, and then of course it mushroomed from there because we did have wires down, we did have a blown transformer, and it got bigger and it escalated. But the key was we got things going quick, and PSNH was there real fast. So we do have a good working relationship, as do all the other agencies with PSNH.
And what would you say would be your most rewarding call that you can remember that you've dealt with over the years?
You know what, I'm going to tell you, every day I have a rewarding phone call. And you're probably saying, how's that? Well, we have a nice program in this town, and I know a lot of the other agencies in southern New Hampshire do, and probably statewide. Good Morning Merrimack.
What is that?
That is a program that the elderly people register with us, and simply they call in the morning to the police station to let us know that they're okay. These people live alone, they're elderly, and they check in.
So normally they don't have family around.
Right,
anybody
exactly.
Checking on
right.
them.
And if we don't hear from them by 10 a.m., we send a cruiser over to check on their status. And you say rewarding. Well, I'll tell you, I have made some nice friends through this program. They keep the cookies coming.
Yeah.
They keep the banana breads
Usually
coming.
very good bakers.
Oh yeah, excellent bakers. And we just a few years ago, I think probably 3, maybe 4 years ago now, we established with dispatch, our staff, we have those folks come in at Christmas time, and they come in and they have a nice little luncheon with us, and it's all in the holiday spirit and stuff, and we decorate and everything, and they enjoy it. And that's my reward, to see those people come in and know that we're there for them, a smile on their face, and know that they've got a friend at 31 Babusick Lake Road.
That it is, and that's great. You know, I'm involved in that program as well as being the community service officer, and I go, and if they need a ride,
You pick 'em
I
up.
go and pick them up.
Yeah.
And you know, with that type of service, it's a very no cost service, but those folks are so valuable in the community. And my ride home, I mean, they can't thank me enough when I pick them up
Right.
to come to the
Oh yeah.
to the holiday feast. But on my way home, I get to listen to them. So happy that they get to meet you dispatchers.
Oh sure.
Instead of, you know,
Yeah.
get to know you.
It's not just
on
a
the
voice
phone.
on the phone. That's right.
Yeah, they
can
put a face
to the
with
voice.
that voice,
Yeah.
and you know, the whole ride home. That's all
And
I hear about.
Exactly. And you know what? I enjoy chatting with them, you know, because they'll talk about things that are going on. They'll talk about the winter weather or whatever. And we've got a couple of the diehard sports fans. One of them's a real big Red Sox fan, so she'll like to
Thank
chat
God
Red
she's
Sox
not a
base-
Yankees fan.
She'll chat baseball with us, and you know, if they hear that phone ring in the background and I say I got to go, they understand, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. You know, it's rewarding. It really, really is. I enjoy it. I look forward to it every day. It's part of my routine every day.
Yeah, it is. It's you know, amongst all the other calls and situations you have to deal with, you know, that I can see why, you know, it is rewarding and special.
Yeah.
What is the difficult times for a dispatcher, or being a dispatcher? What are some of the you know, the difficult times that a dispatcher can be part of?
Well, you know, I bringing up the, you know, the elevation of stress. It is a very stressing job. There's no question about that, because of the need to multitask, and there's so much going on. And you know, if the police department has an arrest going on, you know, and you get a fire call, you can't say, I can't do the fire call, I'm tied up with an arrest. You know, we're there to provide the service to the fire station as well, the fire department as well. So multitasking is huge, because you could be doing multi things, and it is our job to provide service to not only the agencies that we provide the service to, but also to the public. You know, they have a right to, when they call their police department, to have their question answered, to have their call filtered to whatever you know, division in the station that they're looking to speak to, and
Directions to
directions.
the
If that, it might be the case for directions. You know, do you know if there's school tomorrow? What time? When's the Christmas parade? What time's the Christmas? You know, I mean, these are the questions that we get, but it's our job to provide that service to them. And I don't like to use the word difficult. It's just, you wish you had more time for everybody when they called, but you don't.
Yeah, I agree. You
know.
gotta, you know.
Yeah, you
Like
got to
you
move
said.
right along and,
Yeah.
and keep calm. You have to keep calm. We have to keep calm in the communication center. We have to keep calm out on the street with the officers, and we have to keep calm with the people that come to the window.
Yeah.
I think that's just important.
I would think it would be a little frustrating that, you know, you might not get to know the end results, or, you know, if somebody calls you for, you know, help, maybe not knowing, you know, if they got the help they needed.
Right.
You know, do you ever sit there and wonder, you know, what is really going on?
Yeah,
at
you
a
do.
scene?
You do. Usually when the police officers get on the scene, other than status checks, making sure that they're safe, it's out of our hands. You know, we're just sitting by waiting for the next issue, next call to come in. But yeah, you wonder. You do. You really do. And then in some cases, you do find out. Sometimes you find out that night. I had an incident a few years ago. This is when we were in the older station here in Town Hall.
That was before my time.
Before your time. And we had a call, and it was at a time when our telephone numbers, I don't know so much that we were in the same trunk, but our numbers were similar to the Litchfield, the 424.
Yeah.
And I got a call from a young girl one night. She was babysitting at a residence. It wasn't here. It was in Litchfield.
Yeah.
But she had concerns. She was babysitting for this family for the first time, and she had contact information, all the stuff that she needed to as a babysitter. But she wanted the immediacy of a policeman, and she was concerned because she heard noise outside, and she was worried. The thing that she didn't have was the address. And
that's kind of important.
It really, really is. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not even in my community. How am I going to provide service here? I mean, I simply could have hung up or patched it over to Litchfield, but I didn't. This girl was scared. She was nervous. She was worried. And I needed to get a policeman there as soon as I could. I asked her, I says, look around. You got any mail around there? Take a look and see if you can find mail. I don't want you to go snooping in people's bureaus and that sort of thing, but whatever it takes, I want you to see if you can find me some mail and give me the address that's on it. Within 30 seconds, she found an envelope. It was a public service bill. And she gave us the address. We got Litchfield rolling that way, and
nice.
It all worked out good. But it was just something small and simple like that. You know what I'm saying? That I knew the outcome.
Well,
you know, and even though it was a long time ago, it always stuck with me. You know, that young lady had a police officer at the door faster than I think she thought she was going to, not knowing what the address was at the residence.
And that's that's just being a good person too, knowing that like you said, you could have just passed her over to Litchfield and
we wouldn't do that. We don't do that in Merrimack. No dispatch agency does.
No.
We're there to provide.
That's why
service.
you guys are professionals, and we
compassion.
appreciate that.
We have compassion.
Have you ever had a chance to, meet face to face with somebody, a call that you've taken? And
yeah, I did back quite a few years ago. An assault. I was working a midnight shift. An assault that took place in the wee hours of the morning, and the female that was assaulted. She made a phone call into us and whispering, which was difficult to hear, but I was able to get the information out of her that I needed, kept her on the telephone for fear that something would happen again. I was able to, we had the address, we had officers rolling, and I think the fact that I was able to keep her on the phone, and she was good. I mean, she was scared. She was crying, uncontrollably crying, but trying to be quiet because I kept telling her to be quiet because the perpetrator was on the outside of the residence sitting on steps, and my fear was he would come back in. She'd draw him back into the residence. Fortunately, that didn't happen. The officers rolled up, and the perpetrator was sitting right there, and we arrested him.
So when did you
later
get
on
to meet her?
Later on, I was subpoenaed into court because they wanted to hear from my perspective what happened, and that lady came up to me at the end of the court appearance and embraced me with a tear in her eye and said, "Thank you for being there for me."
That's pretty rewarding. It must have made you feel good.
Yeah, it did.
It's not all the time you get to meet those folks and get to hear that. But I can tell you a lot of people, do tell us, that they appreciate, they always say how the Merrimack Police Department, took care of them and provided services. And, me personally, and I think every police officer, when they say that starts right from dispatch.
That's where it all begins.
Folks are, the ones that,
that's where it all
that
begins.
call.
Yep,
And,
we get the call, and it's up to us to filter the call in a manner that we get quick response to whatever agency we need to use, and And it starts there. There's no question. We hear the complaint first. We know what's going on first, and we take it and we disseminate it to you guys.
So you want to just explain to the folks who, maybe this is their first time, they're learning about, what a dispatcher is, what they represent, and, how they represent, the town. And, I think this is going to open up a lot of people's eyes that, when they hear of a dispatcher, it's not just answering a phone. I think a lot of people have that misunderstanding, like you're an operator.
We're like the operator or the receptionist.
Yeah,
that's
not you guys, obviously do a lot more than that, and that's why you are professionals. And so, could you just tell the folks what a day of a dispatcher is like, and could be like?
Well, we're responsible for answering incoming calls to the department, plus 911 emergency phone system lines. We collect pertinent information from callers and disseminate that information to responding units or agencies. We determine the priority level of requests for services and then mitigate those calls that can be handled without a need for committing departments mutual aid or committing department resources as a response. We provide pre-arrival emergency medical instructions where needed. Also, we operate the radio systems for police, fire, mutual aid channels, and town agencies. Monitor and dispatch for all police and fire alarm activations. We also maintain CAD records for all responses and services provided by police and fire. As we alluded to earlier, we also receive requests for other town services like the water department, the water district, and PSNH after hours, on weekends, and on holidays, and initiate the appropriate notifications and responses. We're also responsible for the process of all paperwork, data entry, and alert notifications for all missing persons, stolen vehicles, arrested individuals, and the line, it just goes on, et cetera, et cetera. We keep our administration and staff for both police, fire, and town officials apprised of what's going on 24 hours a day, of noteworthy incidents and emergencies. We are responsible for keeping an eye through closed circuit television on our jail cell occupants, and to make sure that they're safe, and also the officers that are checking on their status are also safe. And we also, as I said at the top, are responsible for greeting and providing services to the visitors to the police station's lobby and our windows. So we do a lot. We provide a lot. It's more than just sitting at the console with a headset on our heads and talking on the radio.
And that doesn't include, people, coming to the window for, like, you said, directions. They come in for, many different things. And then you have officers that come into dispatch, they need assistance with, whatever they're doing, maybe phone numbers, different paperwork, listings on vehicles, and
we're also responsible too with house check programs. The public, when they're going away, will notify us that they are going away, and we the police officers will keep a watch on their property daily, and they'll swing by and make sure everything's okay. We have contact information if there is an issue that we need to contact the homeowner. But a lot of that is done over the phone, and a good part of it's done at the window. We also
that's all logged in by dispatchers.
Oh yeah, we handle all that.
And that's all recorded and under their master name, and and me and you work hand in hand with another program we have, the Operation Safe Return.
Yes.
And that consists of a lot of
dispatch
data
involvement.
Entry.
Yep. Absolutely.
Without you folks keeping track of that in the master name file and all that. So anybody that has dementia, or Alzheimer's, or children with autism, adults with autism, all these folks are part of a community.
Exactly.
And
We're there for them.
again, dispatch, that's part of your functions is, keeping track of those people, setting up a file, so we have all the pertinent
Sure.
information, contact information. We keep up to date, photos, and dispatch takes care of all that stuff.
We also do pistol permit processing. To
And that's
carry
been booming.
concealed
That's
weapon.
been
It's huge.
very trendy.
Yeah,
Yes.
very, very much so. In the last couple, maybe 3 years, we've seen an increase on pistol permit applications being processed through the agency, through our agency. We do all that. We do all the running of all the criminal histories, people's background checks for our my supervisor, Lieutenant Paul Trepany, to review, and he makes the decision as to whether he will sign off on these applications. We also do fingerprints. We do the live scan fingerprint service at the station, and that all starts in dispatch. We do all the paperwork and put that all together, get that business taken care of before we pass it on to the officer who is going to actually do the processing.
Yeah.
So it's another function of dispatch.
Can you, as much as you can you just tell the folks what NCIC, stands for, and basically what's the function of NCIC? People use that term, but a lot of people don't understand what it is or what it's about. And I understand it's a lot of work for you guys. When we ask you to enter something NCIC, it just doesn't happen.
No, it's we do it. National Crime Information Center. It is a great tool. It's gotten so much better over the years, with technology and stuff. We have the ability to be able to do background checks and find out if people have criminal history on their record, and if the officer or our prosecutor might need that information for court. We're able to provide that through NCIC. NCIC is one of the best tools that this industry has seen come to this point. It's amazing what the information you can get.
If somebody reports a stolen vehicle, and we take the stolen vehicle report, and then we
have
ask
to
you
answer
to
that.
NCIC.
Yeah.
What does that entail?
Well, we end up entering into the system, and that's all the descriptors of the motor vehicle: the make, the model, the color,
VIN number.
Four-door as opposed to two-door. All the information that you would have pretty much on your registration goes into the system. Plate number, that sort of thing. Like you say, the VIN. All that information goes into the system.
And
so within a short time, it's in the system, and if that vehicle is spotted and or stopped by another agency in another state, it's,
It's so basically you put in, when you enter something NCIC, you're entering it into the national database.
Yeah.
And so if anybody in another police agency has contact with that vehicle or something, it flags it saying that it was stolen out of Merrimack, New Hampshire, whatever, and that's and
we do that with articles. We do it with boats. Missing persons, wanted persons. It's a great tool. NCIC is it's been great.
So 911 emergency calls. What would be some of the emergency calls where you would want to call 911 versus the non-emergency phone line?
911, especially when the children in the town come in with the schools for tours, and you're the tour host, you or one of the dispatchers or myself will always tell the kids, please don't play with 911. Because we don't want to tie lines up that might be needed. And children, they're curious, and they may hit buttons, and that button might ring in our communication center, and they'll end up with a policeman at the front door. So we tell the kids, don't play with 911.
So if somebody hits 911 and just hangs up really quick.
Yeah.
What happens with
It'll
that?
come into us, and we will dispatch a policeman. We don't know what's on the other
So
end
it
of that
still
phone.
comes in.
Oh yeah, yeah. It still comes in, and 911 is able to give us a location, and we'll roll the policeman to make sure that everything is okay at that location where the call originated from. The big thing with the 911 calls is, and we all have read in our industry various 911 calls that have been placed into the 911 communication center that are not emergency calls.
Yeah.
And, some of them are very comical. Some of them you shake your head at. However, the important ones that we need to know about is when do they become emergencies? Well, if there's a threat of life or property, that constitutes potential for an emergency. That's treated as an emergency, obviously. If the caller or someone else, the victim of a crime, that's an emergency. Those are calls you need to call 911. If someone else is having a medical emergency that you are aware of, you call 911. Same thing with the fire department. It's all kind of common sense, but we don't like to hear, like I say, children playing with phones. And we do have people who will call up and ask if there's school on 911. Probably one of the more comical calls I've heard in my career was this woman that had a quart of beer and she couldn't open it.
Oh,
So she
yeah,
called
that's
911 and asked a policeman to come over to take the cap off her beer bottle. But I mean, just to give you an idea, some calls, don't need 911 or tie up 911. It's just, it's for an emergency. It's for emergency use, and we try to educate the kids not to play on it.
in the non-emergency number,
They're listed.
424-3774, and when the machine comes on, it gives you a request. You just hit 0,
Yeah.
and it goes right to a
Yeah.
live dispatcher.
Yep, you hit 0 on when you call our station. It'll take you right into dispatch.
And like John said, any type of like a medical emergency,
Fire,
anything like that.
you smell smoke, you smell gas, pick up the phone and call 911.
Yeah.
The medical calls are important, and the reason I say that is because the folks up in 911 here in the state, they're all certified. They give medical instruction, and they are fabulous. I have nothing but high praise for the 911 program in this state, and I know when I go up there to pop in and say hello and stuff, I enjoy going there. It's an education every time I go there. But we
they
are
have
lucky.
access and training
Oh, the training
for
yeah.
To give the advice
Absolutely.
for
They're
medical
certified.
emergencies,
Yeah.
unlike
Right.
here in Merrimack.
Well, we used to be at one time until 911 got up and running, and the program took off to the point where it was a viable source for information, pre-med information, and getting the call under control, giving direction for birth. They're all certified. We were certified to a degree. They cover every aspect, and they do a wonderful job up there. And it took a lot away from us. I've actually worked some 911 calls back in the day when, I had a call on the phone that possible heart attack, severe chest pain, and I had other calls coming in, and I could not get to those calls because I had to make that my priority call, that I had a person here that I had to talk through that was possibly having a heart attack.
And that's understandable, and you couldn't ask any more of a dispatcher to switch between one's emergency situations to another.
But they have that capability in Concord because they've got more than 1, 2, 3 people on duty. They do a wonderful job. I
Right.
can't say enough about them, Rob.
So that's why it's important if it is an emergency, even, like, a motor vehicle accident.
Yeah.
You don't know if there's injury or not.
Right. Get on the
call
phone.
911,
Yeah.
and then 911, if there is a medical emergency, they can deal with the medical issue, and they can also call Merrimack Dispatch and get, police, fire, ambulance, whatever.
I'll tell you another thing that's important too is that we've found in dispatch. With the Everett Turnpike going right through our town, if that call, we've gotten calls where they're not sure exactly the mile marker and that sort of thing. They're not sure exactly where that is. They can track that and tell you right where that call came from, right where it originated from,
So
which is another
GPS.
GPS, another big tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always get this asked of me, when I respond to calls. People say, every time I call dispatch, why do they ask so many questions? Can you just tell the folks the reason why? So maybe they can understand, a little bit better,
Yeah.
why you ask them and what's it for?
We get that all the time. And sometimes people will be frustrated on the phone. Listen, I just saw this, or I just heard this, but we need additional information. We don't know what you saw, other than the fact that you said that you saw a motor vehicle accident. Is there injury? How many cars involved? Are there fluids? Do you smell gasoline? There's all kinds of questions that we have to ask that are pertinent to the scene, and some people get frustrated with that. But the thing that I always try to tell people that's so important is that when you do call in an emergency, no matter what it is, it's good to know a cross street in the event that you need to have that cross street location.
So not just DW Highway or Continental Boulevard.
Exactly, because DW Highway goes from Bedford to Nashua, and so that's really, really important. Also, maybe provide a landmark, business names, or maybe a park or something that's nearby. You can look for house numbers. You may not be able to come up with one, but if you can, it's awesome. And if you're calling from inside a home or a business, my old trick, look for a piece of mail. If you're in a business or a house that you're not familiar with, you can always look for a piece of mail. When you have something that's taken place that might involve a person, it's very important to provide the information to the dispatcher, the 911 call taker. Is the individual black or white? A black person or a white person? That's important. Did they have a weapon? Did you see the weapon? What kind of weapon? Was it a knife? Was it a gun? Size: short, tall, heavy build, slim build. All crucial information.
Because
what they're wearing.
Who's asking you this information?
Police officers.
You're talking on the phone.
Absolutely. Policemen are doing so. What they're wearing for clothing. Are they wearing a jacket? Are they wearing a parka? Are they wearing a sweatshirt, a hoodie? What's the color? What are they wearing for? Do they have jeans on? Are they wearing khakis? All important information. Hair color, hair length, beard color. Is it a gray beard? Is it a brown beard? All this information is so important. And then when you get down to the motor vehicle, that's important too, because if at all possible, I don't like to try to tell people to get too close. If you can give me a license plate, all well and good. If you can see what the state is, all well and good. The plate color, all well and good. I don't like to have people go up close to take another peek. I don't like to tell people to do that.
That's good advice.
The vehicle. If you know your vehicles, can you give me a ballpark year, model, make, and of course color? It's all important stuff.
Something more descriptive that
Yeah.
you can relate to the officer, and we can make a potential stop or
exactly.
Whatever might be a medical issue.
And you know yourself, a lot of these foreign cars, they look alike.
Yeah.
And they're it's very difficult to differentiate between some of these foreign cars. So we ask you to do the best you possibly can. Is it a foreign car? All right, that's what we have to go with.
Well, and we like the fact that, people like to individualize their cars a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So they might put that, Yankee sticker in the back window. So if you're in Red Sox country and, we see a Yankee sticker,
It'll stand out, won't it?
No, but those are good indicators,
Yeah.
to relate to dispatchers that, if you don't know a make or model, you can say, a small blue car, but it, has a Yankee sticker on the back window.
Right.
At least you can relay that to us, and, we can pick it out of five blue cars possibly.
It might seem like a little thing, but it's not. It's a big thing.
And again, the reason for asking all these questions, as you know, and now you folks know, if this becomes a criminal matter, that call to dispatch starts the investigation.
Right then and there.
Right, that call, that starts where the criminal investigation starts from. So, we as professionals have to receive that information and record it, and months from now we might have to go to court and testify to what was said, what was asked, the information provided, why it was provided, what they said. And dispatch is, you guys are the first point of contact for a lot of these calls that do become a criminal investigation. So folks, that is why our professional dispatchers, they're trained to ask all these questions for a reason. They don't dream up these questions to ask you to make you more upset. There's a reason for it. So our advice, if you do have to call dispatch
Or 911.
or 911, exactly, just remain calm, remain as calm as possible, and just provide and answer the questions being asked of you. Because if you want to share a lot of information, most likely the dispatchers are going to be asking you the questions for the information that you want to share anyways. So instead of trying to give all the information, let them ask the questions, and it would be smoother and faster and an easier process.
See, the other thing too that I really should point out, Rob, is I think the caller can get frustrated if I'm repeating what they're saying.
I agree.
And the reason I'm doing that is because I have another dispatcher to my right or left that is relaying what they're saying. I'm repeating it, relaying it over the radio to the responding officer. I'm repeating that for a reason. What the person is saying to me, I am repeating.
So again, folks not knowing what's going on, not knowing your other responsibilities, that's a great point.
Yeah, we ask the questions because it's information we need to have, and we repeat what the person is saying because your partner, your sidekick, is putting that information out over the air to responding firemen, police officers, or EMS.
And you're probably trying to record, if they're giving you a plate number, you want to record it. So
that too, because what'll happen is if you say, for example, you had a situation where someone might have been involved in shoplifting and we were able to get a car, they were able to get the plate, and so I'm repeating the plate. My partner's running it, so to give him a bit of descriptors on the vehicle, and we'll have an idea of whether the vehicle is local or if it's out of state.
And sometimes you run into situations where you want to, as you're receiving this information, you want to relay it to the officers. Do you have to ask these folks, can they hold for a minute? Or
well, sometimes you are put in that position, but not often. I'll come right out and tell the caller I am relaying the information to a responding unit, hoping that that will give them a sense, give them some understanding that that's the reason why this call is taking as long as it is. Because I am getting that information out to a responding unit through the other dispatcher.
That's good. So folks, I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed talking with Mr. Spence. And we appreciate everybody watching our monthly show. Have a good night.